So you probably know about this guy, Representative Paul Gosar of Arizona. He's this dentist who became this far-right Republican congressman who first was most famous because all of his brothers and sisters came out and did a campaign ad saying that we don't trust this guy, he's crazy, you shouldn't vote for him either, right? That's pretty bad when your entire family comes out and says that you shouldn't be running for Congress because you're dangerous, right? You might also know of him because he was stripped of his committee assignments when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker because he posted a video that depicted him murdering AOC. Well, the guy has found a new way to get attention, and that is to spread Russian propaganda that is made anti-Semitic by this disinformation outlet called Veterans Today. So a lot of folks have asked me, why do I study extremism? How did I start to study extremism? And, they might know that my background is I was a veteran advocate. I used to work for veterans organizations. I started a couple of veterans nonprofits. I currently run a veteran nonprofit called Task Force Butler Institute. And how do you go from pushing for things like the GI Bill and veterans health care to studying extremism? Well, I used to work in a major veteran service organization. And in around 2016, 2017, when I was helping them out with managing their social media, I found an imposter version of this Vietnam veterans organization on Facebook. And that began my investigation into figuring out who it was. And they were using our brand, they were posting pictures of our CEO, and their Facebook page was huge. At first, when I found them, I thought, man, this looks like a member who's out there trying to do a good thing. In fact, they've built a much, much larger audience than our communications team did. So I'm thinking, first, when I started investigating this, I'm going to find this member and I'm going to see if we can offer them a job or, get them to volunteer to help us manage social media. Well, the more I started digging, the more I came to realize that this was actually not a member, though it was very convincing in the way that they used our brand and talked about veterans issues and posted things that were important to veterans. But it was actually a Russian-connected disinformation campaign. So I found a sophisticated foreign adversary that was targeting American veterans using veteran brands, using veteran organizations to build credibility. And then they would, after, posting videos and news articles about things that are important to veterans, like our healthcare at the VA, they would post manipulated content. So say a real news event like a veterans monument was defaced, they would post that same video, a real news clip, over and over and over again, like a couple months apart, so that the people who followed this Facebook page, they would see this story about a veterans monument being destroyed over and over and over again, not realizing that it was the same story. They just moved around some text to make it into evergreen content, make it look basically like American veterans are being attacked, right? So this led me to a 2-year investigation of all the ways that foreign adversaries target troops, veterans, and our families online and seek to take advantage of us. And that could range from everything from Russian intelligence buying Facebook ads to target the followers of the nonprofit that I work for, to things like romance scams using photos and names of fallen heroes to try to create a false identity and trick people into giving them money. There's some pretty nasty stuff. But one of the through lines that I found for most of my research was that these foreign entities were pushing these extremist narratives, racism and xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, using the veteran brand to push hate in America. And not just to divide Americans, but to divide the American community. Well, Paul Gosar went out and shared Veterans Today on his weekly newsletter, a house.gov provided service that is supposed to be to educate your constituents. And he sent out a link to an article that was first published by Sputnik, the Russian disinformation outlet, right? The state-sponsored Russian media. And Veterans Today, this anti-Semitic, Russian-backed disinformation campaign that steals credibility from American veterans to push hate, had a title that said that targeted Anthony Blinken and basically said that Jews were out to start wars, right? This like classic anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Paul Gosar linked to not just an anti-Semitic website, but a Russian disinformation outlet using taxpayer resources. I'm at like a loss for words, because this touches on like everything that I've been studying for years now. How Russians use the American military brand to pretend to be American veterans, to push divisive content, anti-Semitism, and it's being spread not just by random like Twitter trolls. It's being spread by a member of Congress who's attended neo-Nazi conferences, who has done fundraisers with neo-Nazis, who is now, back on his committees because Kevin McCarthy, the current Speaker of the House, embraces anti-Semitism and racism because it keeps him in power. I'll tell you what you won't see over the next couple of days. You won't see Kevin McCarthy admonish Representative Paul Gosar for linking to a Russian disinformation outlet, for linking to an article that specifically targets Jews. You won't see Kevin McCarthy strip Paul Gosar of his committee assignments. Instead, Kevin McCarthy is going to pretend he didn't see the email. He's going to pull the same thing that Republicans have been pulling about Trump for the last 6-7 years, or however long it's been, where they say, "Oh, I didn't see the tweet. Oh, I didn't see what he said. I didn't hear what he said." Paul Gosar has for years been cozying up with actual neo-Nazis, people like Nick Fuentes, this incel propagandist who helped to lead the assault on the Capitol on January 6th. Paul Gosar and Nick Fuentes have done fundraisers together. Nick Fuentes, he became infamous because he was outed as someone who attended the 2017 neo-Nazi rally in Charlottesville. Remember where someone got killed, right? So, I hope you don't get tired of me saying this, but I'm trying to bring people's attention to the fact that the Republican Party, actual members of Congress, are more and more embracing anti-Semitism and terrorism. When Paul Gosar cozies up to neo-Nazis, when he's spreading articles written by Sputnik and then reposted on this fake veterans website that adds an anti-Semitic twist to Russian propaganda. Man, this party is falling. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. But even if Kevin McCarthy isn't going to do anything about it, we should. We should demand of Democrats that they call for Gosar for accountability for Gosar. He should be stripped of his committee assignments again. This man, this anti-Semite, who cozies up to neo-Nazis and has for years, who's gone to neo-Nazi conferences, who's cozied up next to people who participated in the deadly neo-Nazi rally in Charlottesville, where a neo-Nazi ran his car into a crowd of peaceful protesters, injuring dozens and killing one. We can't let this be okay. We can't allow Republicans to normalize political violence. So get on social media and let people know that Paul Gosar and Kevin McCarthy are cozying up next to neo-Nazis.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.